Bulls, Heat. Wow, what a play-in matchup this is going to be for both teams as they are fighting for the last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. Remember, the winner of this game will get the number 8 seed in the Eastern Conference and face the Celtics in round 1 of the NBA playoffs. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about the Heat entering must-win territory as they need to beat the Bulls at all costs, even though Jimmy Butler injured his MCL, which, by the way, guys, is in his right knee. The Heat are still expected to beat the Bulls as they were very close to beating the 76ers last night in their first play-in game. As for the Bulls, they cruised to a comfortable win against the Hawks in the first play-in game as they need to win a second play-in game in order to get the number 8 seed in the Eastern Conference. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. Who will win the play-in matchup, Bulls or Heat? And I know that Jimmy Butler is not 100% healthy. In fact, I know that Jimmy Butler has been ruled out for tomorrow's ball game against the Chicago Bulls and that he is going to miss several weeks due to injury, which is going to be a shame because we all know that playoff Jimmy Butler is built different. But we all know that at the end of the day, the Miami Heat are the better team when you compare them to the Chicago Bulls. Are you kidding me? The Miami Heat are well coached while the Chicago Bulls are not well coached whatsoever. You look at how the Miami Heat, they know how to put role players in great positions to succeed. And you look at how guys like Tyler Herro are going to step it up once Jimmy Butler is out. And here's the thing with the Chicago Bulls defense. They are one of the worst defenses in the NBA, and that their best defender, Alex Caruso, he's also going to be out for tomorrow's game as well. So the Chicago Bulls, they don't have any rim protection whatsoever. And it's not like the perimeter defenders are that good anyways. The Chicago Bulls are a talented basketball team. Yes, they can score points on offense pretty efficiently, but they can't stop anybody on defense to save their lives. And even though the Miami Heat offense isn't that good on paper, I still think they can get the job done offensively. I think Bam Adebayo is going to have a good game against the Chicago Bulls. I expect him to beat Nikola Vucevic in his one-on-one matchups. I think Nikola Vucevic is going to get torched defensively. And then of course you look at how Tyler Herro, he has got to step his game up for the Miami Heat. He didn't have a great game against the Philadelphia 76ers yesterday, but I'm not too worried about Tyler Herro. I think he's going to get the job done for the Miami Heat. I think he's going to show up and ball out for the Miami Heat tomorrow. I think he's going to score over 20 points. I think he's going to play efficient basketball. Obviously the Miami Heat are banged up. That's why you haven't seen guys like Jimmy Butler and Terry Rozier on the basketball court, particularly Terry Rozier. That's because he's injury prone, but when he has been on the basketball court, he's been good for the Miami Heat. However, I'm not expecting Terry Rozier to play for the Miami Heat tomorrow. But you look at this Heat team on paper, they're obviously better than the Chicago Bulls. That's not even a real question to me because the Chicago Bulls have a losing record. The Chicago Bulls are actually one of the weaker play-in teams that I have ever seen. Yes, I know they blew out the Hawks 131 to 116, but what I saw in the Hawks Bulls play-in game was not playoff basketball caliber. Both teams did not give me playoff basketball type of effort. I mean, that was an absolutely pathetic effort by the Atlanta Hawks because they played zero defense whatsoever. I know the Chicago Bulls didn't really play any defense whatsoever as well, but at the end of the day, the Chicago Bulls offense was just simply better than the Atlanta Hawks offense. But that was not because I thought I saw offensive mastery from either team. I thought it was because both teams were very bad defensively. And that's what happens when you put two losing teams playing against each other in the play-in tournament. Obviously, those teams are not going to give you playoff basketball type of atmosphere whatsoever because neither of those teams are worthy of making the NBA playoffs. The Miami Heat, on the other hand, are worthy of making the NBA playoffs. And I think Erik Spoelstra is going to be the reason why the Miami Heat season is going to be saved. Erik Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in all of basketball. You look at what Erik Spoelstra does year in and year out. He is able to get the most out of this Miami Heat roster. Yeah, he hasn't won a championship since LeBron James left the Miami Heat, but it's not exactly like he has had championship rosters to work with. I think Pat Riley needs to do a better job giving Erik Spoelstra some help in terms of giving him star power on his roster because that team is filled with role players for the past decade, and Erik Spoelstra has done nothing but win basketball games all the time. In a way, you could say that Erik Spoelstra is a victim of his own success because the Miami Heat are never in a good position to draft a superstar in the NBA draft because of the fact that the Miami Heat are always picking outside of the lottery because of the coaching genius of Erik Spoelstra. But even despite then, the Miami Heat have still been able to find gems in the first round. That's why you find a guy like Tyler Herro Hero, who's been one of the better players in the NBA since he was drafted to the Miami Heat. That's why they got a Bam Adebayo. He's one of the better defenders in all of basketball. Yeah, you could say Bam Adebayo is inconsistent, but he's definitely a pretty good basketball player last time I checked. And obviously, they're getting the most out of guys like Duncan Robinson and others. The Miami Heat have played really good basketball under Erik Spoelstra. There's a reason why Erik Spoelstra has been with the Miami Heat since 2008. It's because of the fact that he can get the most out of any given roster. And with Jimmy Butler being ruled out for tomorrow's game, Erik Spoelstra is going to have to cook up a really good game plan to get the most out of the guys that he has actually playing basketball tomorrow. I expect Tyler Herro to have a career game for the Miami Heat. I think he is going to ball out against a horrific Bulls defense. I expect Tyler Herro to score over 20 points on efficient shooting. He might even go off for 30 points if he can make some threes early and often. If that happens, I think the Chicago Bulls are going to get shot out of the gym. Yes, I know the Miami Heat don't have the best offensive player in Jimmy Butler, but guess what? The Chicago Bulls are not going to have the best defender in Alex Caruso either. So to me, I look at it as even, not because of the fact that Alex Caruso and Jimmy Butler are on the same level, but because of the fact that the Chicago Bulls, they don't have any defense in their game whatsoever. Alex Caruso was the only one of the Chicago Bulls that could actually play a little bit of defense, but now that Alex Caruso is out, the Chicago Bulls have no defense whatsoever. I mean, at this point, the Miami Heat might as well just start jacking up a bunch of threes because the Chicago Bulls don't have any good defense in their game whatsoever, outside of a maybe washed up Andre Drummond. Speaking of Andre Drummond, that was absolutely stupid of him to get his teammate injured. That situation could have been avoided entirely, but it is what it is. Obviously, the Chicago Bulls, they are an underachieving basketball team. They need to get rid of their coach in Billy Donovan. That guy has underachieved big time for the Chicago Bulls throughout his tenure there on the Bulls. Obviously, Billy Donovan is not a good enough coach, at least for this current version of the Chicago Bulls. Do I believe Billy Donovan was a good coach once upon a time? I really do believe that, but it's pretty clear now that Billy Donovan is not the same coach as when he first entered the NBA, and that he seems burnt out from NBA coaching. If I'm the Chicago Bulls, I would think about making a coaching change after this playing game when they're going to get blown out of the gym against the Miami Heat. I think Bam Adebayo is also going to dominate the paint as well, and I expect some role players to ball out for the Miami Heat. Watch out for Kevin Love, a guy that can still play productive basketball here and there. Maybe he can turn the clock back and play a really good basketball game against the Chicago Bulls. And you guys got to remember that this is the same playing game that happened last year, because the Miami Heat played against the Chicago Bulls last year for the number 8 seed in Miami, and now they get a repeat scenario of this. Now it's going to be interesting to see what the Bulls learned from last year, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Miami Heat are going to be able to do even without Jimmy Butler, because I still am high on the Miami Heat even without Jimmy Butler because of their coaching situation. We all know that Erik Spoelstra is a top 5 head coach in the NBA, and that he can get more out of any roster, more so than any other coach. I expect some role players to have a career game on Friday against the Chicago Bulls. I think this game is going to be a blowout from start to finish. I think the Miami Heat have a better defense than the Chicago Bulls. I think their offense is going to show up as well. I know that the offense for the Heat is inconsistent, but when they're on, they're really on. And as for the Bulls, yeah, I know they can score points offensively, but guess what? The Miami Heat can play really good defense as well, and I trust the Heat defense to show up. Heat culture is going to show up once again, and they're going to dominate a game that they have to win in order to get the number 8 seed in the Eastern Conference. It also helps that the Miami Heat have a winning record while the Chicago Bulls don't have a winning record whatsoever. Obviously, this game is a mismatch on paper. I expect the Chicago Bulls to get blown out from start to finish. I expect the Miami Heat to play really good basketball even without Jimmy Butler. I truly believe Erik Spoelstra can save the Miami Heat, and that the Miami Heat are still going to be able to make the NBA playoffs this year, and they're going to get the number 8 seed in the Eastern Conference once again, which I find pretty ironic in and of itself, because the Miami Heat made the NBA Finals last year as an 8 seed. Maybe the Miami Heat can try to recreate that success in the NBA playoffs. We'll see what happens though. So that is why the Heat will beat the Bulls in their play-in matchup, as they will win by the score of 124 to 106, despite not having Jimmy Butler available to play due to an MCL injury. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.